And now it's my pleasure to introduce you to the founders of Catcher.com. From your left, Chief Executive Officer of the group, Patrick Grove, Chief Marketing Officer, Ken Tsurumaru, Chief Technical Officer, John Wong, and Chief Operating Officer, Nick Lim. We now invite Chief Executive Officer, Patrick Grove, to say a few words of welcome. Patrick, please.
Thank you. Distinguished guests, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you today to the launch of Catcher.com. Catcher.com is the new holding company for the combined merger of leading portals in Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia. This represents the tripartite merger between SearchSingapore.com, MalaysiaSearch.com, and SearchIndonesia.net. All three websites are now wholly owned by the Catcher.com group and have been rebranded as Catcher.com Properties. Now, we've done this to meet a very real need. The Southeast Asian market is currently lacking in a comprehensive internet portal that can help direct worldwide and Asian users to quality Southeast Asian content and quality Southeast Asian websites. By merging the leading search engines in Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia, and rebranding them as Catcher.com Properties, we feel that Catcher.com is in the perfect position to fill this niche. Catcher.com aims to be the leading internet brand in Southeast Asia. We feel Southeast Asia holds tremendous economic potential. For instance, Southeast Asia is experiencing one of the fastest growth rates in internet usage in the world. One of our distinct advantages of Catcher.com is the fact that our database, which has been developed by a truly Asian team over the last 16 months, is one of the largest databases of Southeast Asian websites in the world. Based in Singapore, we will shortly be opening permanent offices in Malaysia and Indonesia. Not only do we have one of the largest databases of websites for Southeast Asian internet users, but we have a very driven and a very focused management team, along with a very strategic group of investors. In addition, we are operating in Singapore, one of the key business and technology hubs of the region. Singapore is the ideal location for locating an internet company of our type, and already, since we've been here, we've already expanded quite aggressively by acquiring two other websites. We've recently acquired 1mp3.com, which is one of the top 20 MP3 search engines in the world, and we've recently acquired iBeau.com, which is one of the leading Asian celebrity search engines as well. We feel that through these acquisitions of these complementary websites, we're trying to create a Southeast Asian zaibatsu, or internet powerhouse, of a collection of internet properties under the Catcher.com name. We're very confident of success, and we expect that we'll be listed on a major stock exchange within the next 12 months. Indeed, we're all very excited about what lies ahead of us, and we do hope that one day that Catcher.com Properties will be the daily use of all the Southeast Asian internet users. Thank you.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we invite CEO Patrick Grove to launch Catcher.com.
Today we have three main points of interest that we want to announce. The first is the merger of the three major Southeast Asian search engines. The second is the rebranding of these portals under the Catcher.com umbrella. And the third point is the announcement that we've just closed our first round of financing and raised 2.2 million Singapore dollars from distinguished investors from Australia, Singapore, and Hong Kong. The three portals that form the Catcher.com group are formerly SearchSingapore.com, which has been rebranded as Catcher.com.sg. In Malaysia, the merger included MalaysiaSearch.com, which has been rebranded as Catcher.com.my, and in Indonesia, SearchIndonesia.net, which is about to be rebranded as Catcher.co.id. By the tripartite merger of these three search engines, instantly, we've created the largest Southeast Asian search engine portal. We've created a significant player in the Southeast Asian internet scene, and we've achieved serious economies of scale. We've achieved technology synergies, marketing synergies, and branding synergies. At the moment, we look at the major internet brands at present day as being, in America for instance, Amazon, Yahoo, eBay, E-Trade, and Excite. In North Asia, we look at China.com, Sina.com, Sohu.com, whereas in Southeast Asia, we only look at Asia1.com as probably perhaps being one of the most recognized brand names of Southeast Asian groups. In the year 2000, we look at Catcher.com. We just completed our first round of financing, which we've raised Singapore $2.2 million. Investors have included prominent Singaporean private investors, prominent Hong Kong private investors, Axiom Funds Management, which is a Hong Kong-based fund manager venture capitalist, and Imperial Mining, which is publicly listed on the Australian Stock Exchange. Our objective is to become Southeast Asia's leading localized portal. For the moment, we look at portals existing in North Asia, such as Sina, Sohu, and China.com. In Australia, we look at 9MSN. In Japan, we compare ourselves to Goo. Latin America, StarMedia.com. Whereas Southeast Asia, we believe this market is currently up for grabs, and that's where we see Catcher.com taking that position. We believe that we're in the leading position to become the leading portal in Southeast Asia, firstly because of the recent tripartite merger between leading search engines in Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia. We've recently completed our first round of financing. We've just completed strategic acquisitions of 1mp3.com and IB.com, and we have the perfect database to build on because we currently have one of the largest databases of Southeast Asian websites. We view ourselves as becoming the internet Zaibatsu of Southeast Asia. We're going to do this by further developing and enhancing the existing Catcher.com properties and also further acquisitions within the region, such as 1mp3.com and ibu.com. Now, to give you a bit of background on our revenue model and the sort of forecasts that we work with, a recent Goldman Sachs study said that the current online advertising spending in Asia is US $237 million. They forecasted this to bypass US 1.4 billion in the year 2001. For Singapore alone, they predict internet advertising to hit US 70 million in 2001. So basically, this comes down to growth of 426% per annum, whereas compared to offline advertising growth of only 11% per annum. Now, how does this relate to Catcher.com? In America, the top 10 websites, in terms of traffic, are securing 61% of the total online advertising dollars. In Australia, the top 10 websites are securing over 77% of the online advertising dollars. In Asia, we expect a very similar concentration. And we're quite confident that today the Catcher.com group, as it stands, is currently within the top 10 in Southeast Asia. Now, the features of Catcher.com, as we've highlighted, we believe we have one of the largest databases of Southeast Asian websites. We have very comprehensive, localized content. We have community activities, which we're about to launch, such as forums, classifieds, dating, and free web-based email. And now Nick will give you a more extensive demonstration of some of the features of the actual Catcher.com websites.
First, we'll start off with the corporate web page. Now, this is the main page and hopefully the gateway to Southeast Asia in the future for web users. Okay, so you have Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia, and then About Us, which gives you information about the corporate entity itself. First of all, we'll go into Singapore. And it's a search engine and web portal, so therefore the main thing is to have the search box right up at the top, and that's the primary function of the website. Now, with websites and search engines and portals in particular, there are two main functions really. You have the first function whereby people have specific things and specific interests or objects that they're looking for, so they'll type in a search and to conduct a search into our website to find out what the links are available and what information can be derived from it. The second purpose for people using a search engine or a portal is when they're actually surfing. So they have no specific thing that they're looking for, but rather they want to be, in some senses, guided to, they may have some degree of information on what they want. They may have some idea, and our role is to guide them to, what may interest them, and it's up to them to look for it. Now, we'll go back to the first one first, and that is to do an actual search. The first search that we'll do, you'll notice that you can see Singapore on the side of it. Now, within our web pages, you're actually able to search for Malaysian and Indonesian information as well. So within one particular country localized portal, you're able to search for information within the whole Catcher.com database. So our first search will be chicken rice, and this is a good search for Singapore and any country within the region, because chicken rice is actually a dish. If you do a search of chicken rice on an international website, you'll actually find things to do with chicken and rice as two separate words. So you might have a farmer who actually, rears chickens in his farm and also eats rice at night. And if he puts that in his little blurb or introduction in his link and website, you'll find that. Whereas if you do a search within us, you'll find that chicken rice comes up as a dish. So whether you find a recipe about it or a place you can eat chicken rice, or someone who's done a bit of a report or on what chicken rice, whether you can get the best chicken rices you can have out. You can see the Great Chicken Rice Challenge, which is one of the websites which have been put up as well. So the idea is, for localized things, Catcher.com is all about giving you local information which is relevant to the people in this region. So you'll see a lot of other search engines around the world, they will have a feel of local content and local needs, and so therefore we are catering for it. So it's not actually a competition between us and the international players. Rather, the international players, their role and their responsibilities are really to provide a breadth of information. They give you a blanket amount of information for the whole world, so you can search for things within Singapore, Malaysia, and all the other countries as well. For us, we have a specific interest, and our specific responsibility is to go and give you the depth of information within the countries itself. So therefore, you find more, and you find more things which are more relevant. Okay, we'll go back to the main page now, and we'll just run through the second thing. The second thing was, people who are surfing the internet and they want to just find out, they want to be guided rather, and they want to just, identify popular things that they like to do, and they want to find out a little bit more about what Catch.com can provide in terms of entertainment and all that. So you have all these features that we have, which is in all these rows and the little writing. You have news, and you can subscribe to the news, and you can have the news emailed to you, so you can have news feeds, materials and articles that are being made up and fed to you onto your email, so you don't actually have to necessarily go to that particular website itself. So we will organize that for you, and we can do that. And then you have all the specialized content, and these content things are actually aggregated bits of information that we feel are really popular with Singaporean surfers and surfers in the region as well. So you have things like finance, cars, property, etc., and all that. And the fourth line down, you have the new features that we'll be having. So you have Catch a Date, which is a dating, it's like a matchmaking database rather, so people can, you can find your next wife or your next husband. You have your forum, which allows people to voice their concerns and talk about things which interest them. You have classifieds and auctions and free mail. So we're basically creating a community for all the users. We have enough information for them, which will quench their thirst for a broad range of things. And if they want to go deeper into it, we have the avenue as well, and we provide them with that avenue so they can do a search and go to the particular website as they choose. Okay, next we'll have a look at, we just go down on the whole website, and you see all localized information like weather and the Straits Times Index. And all these things are all done on real time, so therefore, if the weather forecast changes, and if you do a refresh on our webpage, you actually see the weather forecast changing, so that picture will change. So you have local celebrities, and you have, at this point in time, you can actually see the log into Hotmail section. And with that Hotmail section, it will actually be changed to Catch a Mail once we launch it within a short term from now. So Catch a Mail will be great. There are a lot of users who already have email, but you'd be surprised there are actually a lot of people out there who are not internet savvy yet or inclined to use email and still continue to use snail mail. So we see there is a potential, as the internet grows in popularity, people would rather use email closer to home, so hopefully we can provide that. And finally, if you go towards the bottom of the page, you have things like jobs you can look for, different things that you can buy on the market, and also local events which are happening, so it's like a local diary and all that. So if you go right down to the bottom, you have the voting section. And with that voting section, it allows people, Singaporeans rather, to voice their opinion on certain topics which are of primary interest to people at this moment. Now you can actually do a vote in real time, and once you process your vote, it'll be processed in real time, and you can see the results issued out. And if you go further into the section, you can actually send us an email to voice out, what if you wanted to say more about a topic as opposed to just purely vote, you may do so. And our webmasters will actually collate that information, and you can, view it the following week. Okay, next what we'll do is we'll go into the Malaysian section, which is catcher.com.my. And you'll see that it looks very, very similar. The basic skeleton of all our websites look very similar. The content is totally different. We found that web surfers and users in Malaysia, and indeed the population and the community are different. They have different needs and different wants. You have Malaysians who are more who prefer to search for things like music and property, whereby in Singapore they prefer to do things like the Straits Times Index, to find more business information, and movies as well. We find movies a very popular thing for Singaporeans to search and find information out on. Okay, we actually have separate people and teams and all that who continue to update content within each separate country. So you have local people providing localized content and upgrading everything in accordance to the changes and all that. At this point in time, we're having a vote, which is a very generic Catcher.com vote, because we want to get a feeling of how people have responded to our changing website. So we've got obviously it's a very big change from the old Malaysia search look, and we're trying to have a grasp and a feel of how people like it. So it's been quite a good response. Okay, finally we'll go back to Singapore again. Indonesia looks very, very similar as well, but we'll go back to Singapore, and you can see right in the middle there's a contest, and with this we'll be having this as a very regular feature as well, a contest. So not only do we want to entertain our users and also assist them in finding what they want and giving them information rather. So hopefully you can, not only do you do that, you may find your wife or husband and also get into a contest and win a prize and a couple of mobile phones. You get some music vouchers from HNV, and also you might get some tickets to watch the latest movie from Shaw Brothers as well. So we hope all these value-added services will actually provide people with an enhanced surfing. They might enjoy themselves a bit more. Just to cap off at the end, users basically come into our websites, and very often they depend on you to refer to them all the website. Basically, what we have to do is our responsibility is to match their queries and interests with what we have in our database. So that's our primary concern. So we want to make sure that we have an avenue whereby these people can come in and look for things which are relevant to them, so therefore it's our primary responsibility is to make sure you can find what you want and a little bit of what you don't want, but it's just equally interesting. And so therefore we just want to have a value-added service, and if you win something, that's great. So thank you for that.
Could you name some of the prominent Hong Kong and Singapore investors, right, Raju?
Sorry, Patrick Grove, CEO. Sorry, at this stage, that they would prefer to remain as private investors and to not be named.
How many are there?
You could say less than 10, more than 5.
Next question, Roberta Kaloma from AFP.
There are 10 countries in Southeast Asia, and so far you've got only 3. When do you plan to cover all of Southeast Asia?
That's a good question. We definitely plan to cover all of Southeast Asia. At this stage, I guess it's our early days. We've only recently completed the tripartite merger between Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia. We look at quite soon exploring options in those other countries. We feel that Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia is still, though, a market that's there's a lot that still needs to be done in these markets. Once we feel that the formula or the concept that we're offering users is workable in these 3 countries, we'll definitely then be expanding into those markets as well.
How will you do it? Are you going to acquire or set up new operations?
We'll probably be setting up new operations there.
Next question, please.
Are there any targets for revenues for the next 2 years?
I'll just refer this question to Nick Lim, our COO.
Okay, basically with our revenue model, what we've done is we've basically taken a lot of information and aggregated a lot of information from the American models. So therefore, we're quite lucky because America has actually done all the hard work, and they've tried and all different types of things, whether they be advertising or sponsorship and all that. So we've been able to just grasp what has worked for them, and what we're doing is we're getting a lot of information from them, and we find that Asian users now, and a lot of the companies and e-commerce and the governments, for example, in Singapore, you're pushing for e-commerce to come through as well. So therefore, we know that there is a push not only within us, but the whole industries, the whole countries are actually pushing towards e-commerce, and that basically gets down to our bottom line as well. So that promotes our bottom line as well. And we've seen a lot of companies depending on us who have boldly set up. So you have companies who are network agencies. These are just internet advertising network agencies who have been set up to actually just purely sell advertising as a broker for internet companies. So with that, we see that there are a lot of people who are very confident of this industry and the revenues that it can derive.
Basically, the target, it's one of those things that it's one of the most impossible things to forecast. When you're looking at an industry growing at, when the Goldman Sachs study says that the industry is growing at 400% per year over the next 3 years, it's really exponential growth, and it's literally impossible to predict. Basically, our target is that we're quite confident that we will be in the top 10 websites in Southeast Asia. Our group will be within the top 10, and we're quite confident that when the advertising market in Asia finally comes about as predicted, we will be getting a significant share of the advertising dollars on the net in Southeast Asia. But as for specifics, at the moment, we're not trying to forecast specific numbers. Yes.
You call yourselves a localized search engine. What search engines do you use? Is it developed in-house or do you use outsourced on-site? And how is it developed?
Okay, I'll just refer that question. That's a good question, actually, as to what search engine technology we use. I'll refer that question to John, our Chief Technology Officer.
Well, we have been developing the search engine technology for the couple of last 16 months. And it is built using CGI. Yes. That's the question.
Basically, it's actually in-house. So everything's it's actually all done in-house. The technology and all that is in-house. We've been able to. I mean, John's worked on it for quite a while now, and scripts and all that are actually written by him. So it's all actually done in-house. Yeah. So he knows to back to front.
Roberto, do you have another question?
Okay, we're looking at basically with our existing group, with our existing portals, because we've got significant traffic coming through our portals, we're in the perfect opportunity to slowly start to develop e-commerce initiatives or diversify into e-commerce areas. We're actually looking at expanding by acquisition into e-commerce areas such as online CDs and so on.
Roberto, yes, your question.
Which major stock exchange are you aiming for?
Which major stock exchange are we aiming for? It's a good question. We're currently looking at a couple stock exchanges. We've been in discussions with brokers in relation to NASDAQ, in relation to the Australian Stock Exchange, but eventually we'd really like to be listed on the Singapore Stock Exchange.
I saw a hand up from this side of the room. Was it Nohaiza?
How do you differentiate yourself with
Asia1.com? Okay, we think there's a very big difference from Asia1.com. Really, we look at Asia1.com as one of the leading news portals in the region. We look at Asia1, their primary focus is an online extension of the SPH properties. For instance, it's online news. You've got Straits Times online, Business Times online, and so on. What we offer, we're not a news portal. We're sort of a general portal. So we're offering everything. We're offering news. We're offering our core feature is not news. Our core feature is basically allowing you a database to search for Asian websites, whereas Asia1 doesn't offer that feature at all. Asia1's core feature is news from SPH.
Right, IT Times.
In relation to that question, how big is your database of websites that you have?
We would say our database of Southeast Asian websites currently exceeds 15,000 websites. 15,000, yeah.
And how do you go about adding to the database and updating it?
Okay, there's two ways. One way is that our in-house staff add sites themselves. Basically, when we come across, we have people who surf the net full-time looking for local sites, reading all the local ads or local press. For instance, if there's a site featured in a local magazine that we haven't heard of, if it's not on our database, we add it straight away. But the main place that sites come from is through a lot of the web designers or web development teams. Because they're aware of the local search engines, they will automatically submit their sites to our database.
Is there a reason for the launch at this part of the year? Is it just something that was just planned all along, or is it due to economic situation?
Oh, I don't think the had anything to do with the economics. It was just the opportunity was there, and we put everything together, and it just seemed like the perfect time to launch, basically. Yeah.
Any plans to use Bahasa Indonesia or Mandarin as a language in your research?
Yeah, definitely. We look at within the next 6 months, we look at having different language versions of our site. Definitely in Malaysia and in Malaysian and in Chinese.